Okay, folks, it's 8:01 p.m., and you're listening to the Radical Fabulatorium on CFMH 107.3 Campus and Community Radio. Now, if you're a longtime keen-eared listener and you're sensing that something is different than it was only moments ago, you're not wrong. This is not the pensive voice of your usual host, John Adamian. No, this is Clinton Charlton, and that's because this week in the interview section, we're going to turn the spotlight on our host and find out more about the man behind the microphone, so to speak. So, Jay, welcome to your own show. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
So this is what, episode 20, 21, somewhere in that?
21.
21.
Yeah, let me just double check. Yeah, I think so.
21.
Yeah.
So you're amassing quite a collection. So let's start there.
Okay.
So what led you to doing a show like this? You know, you're an active musician.
Yeah.
So why did you want to have a show where you focus on the music of others and not something more related to what you do?
Oh, okay. Yeah, good question. Okay, so I was aware of local FM before, like as I've been living in the city. And I toyed around with starting a show and all that and volunteering. Didn't happen, but then I became employed here. So then I got to be here kind of like on a weekly basis. And the previous manager, who was my manager at the time, obviously, kind of just hinted that if I wanted to do a show, it'd be a great time to do it. And you're an employee of the station anyway.
Great.
And then that kind of coincided with me being like changing some of my philosophies with what I'm looking for in music. And that's influenced the playlist and the interviews. And
so what do you mean by that? Your philosophies on what you're looking for in music?
Well, like if anyone who's listening to the show might notice, it goes from like, maybe it could go from death metal to like
I've noticed
dance pop.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff, like especially the dancey stuff, I've kind of always enjoyed certain stuff that I was a little bit scared to admit that like guilty pleasures a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also that would keep me from like investigating entire genres. And then I just then I opened it up to that, and then I always enjoyed. I was kind of like I would only listen to music. I would always kind of like change what I was playing depending on who's in the room. Anyway, I just stopped caring. I was like, I want to hear the playlist I want to hear,
100%,
and that's just kind of how it goes. Yeah.
I used to think about what CD I'd have in the player before I picked a certain person off, and it's exhausting.
It can be fun when it's not. It can be fun when it doesn't become like the way you do it all the time.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
So my introduction to your music was through your collaboration with UK music producer Frequency Creature on that Across the Sea of Space song.
Yeah.
Cool. How did that collaboration come to be? Because honestly, when I started looking into your history, I thought, well, this is what you do. But I was surprised to find out it certainly wasn't. Yeah. So how did that collaboration happen?
I've kind of forgot that song.
Oh, it's great.
even exists. So did I post or did he post? It was on Reddit. It was on a subreddit, a songwriting subreddit.
Okay.
On that website, Reddit, an instant message exchange. So we started talking on Discord. He sent me an instrumental. He sent me like a drum loop and a piano loop. It was really strange, actually. He sent it to me, and it was it's that exact loop, but it was like almost double the speed.
Okay.
And when he bounced down his session, he bounced it down at a different sample rate and a different bit resolution. Okay. And so I loaded into Pro Tools and it started making these weird, it's funny, I was just telling you I went to audio engineering school.
Right, yeah.
The only reason I knew this is I was making these like bit resolution sounds. So I wrote him back asking him if he could check his session files, and he confirmed that, our two sessions were in different bit depths and resolutions. So he sent it to me, and then I loaded them in and I hit the wrong button and it slowed the speed down on his loops. And I was like, whoa. And then the whole song So
a happy accident.
Yeah, total happy accident. Then we got someone to sing over top of it.
So why would he reach out to you? Were you posting music on this subreddit?
Yeah, it was either he or I would have posted like, hey, does someone want to collab?
Oh, I see. One of those things. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. I've done a few of those and they've never been fruitful. So good for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. You know what, to be honest, he didn't like it at all. Frequency Creature.
He didn't?
No. He was like, he's like, thanks, but no, like, see you later. Like,
interesting.
Yeah. But I thought it turned out pretty cool, but.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go check out more of his stuff.
Yeah,
and
actually.
See what my.
I don't know much about him either, to be honest. But actually, that was a nice little maybe that's why I didn't remember the song. Okay. It's a nice little taste of being like, oh, well. Whatever, I like it.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah, well, like I say, I was interested because I was surprised, I should say, because your background's in heavier music, right? That's where you come from. You cut your teeth in We the Undersigned.
Yeah.
So that band I knew of because of our mutual friend Andy Stevens. And if I'm remembering correctly, and bear in mind I'm getting up there, so I may not be, but you guys toured pretty extensively and gave it like an honest to God, like we're gonna go for it.
Yeah, we gave it a pretty solid push.
So what happened? What happened with that band? Where
like how did it end?
yeah, how did that implode?
Probably depends which member you talk to. But,
I mean, when you look on, you go look on YouTube and things like that, and it's, there's the videos look pro, the songs sound pro. I know that you guys gave it a go, so I'm kind of curious about what the story of We the Undersigned is.
Yeah. Well, we definitely went pretty hard at it, and we toured Canada a few times, and we got a couple grants and all that stuff, and everything kind of like ended at the same time, like everything that could go wrong kind of went wrong all at once.
Oh, you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to.
No. It's
my curiosity.
Like I said, the other members probably have different. So Andy decided to leave, and we had drummer issues, and then there was some health issues involved, and then there was like personal relationships breaking down, and it was like a perfect storm of all kinds of things. And then I didn't help the thing. Like I was the manager of that band.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was the manager, and at that point I'd become like the main songwriter too.
Okay.
And I was definitely like I became a little heavy-handed, I would say, probably in my management style.
In wanting to lead the band?
Not in wanting to lead the band, but in like people, it was agreed upon that like I probably had the vision,
Yeah, sure.
But like in terms of I probably acted like I wanted help from the other guys, but then I didn't actually delegate any tasks.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel like that was probably part of the issue.
We have more in common than I even realized. And I used to have a band called the Carousels, and it essentially imploded because of I imposed my dreams or my ambition on everybody else's schedule. And looking back now, I hate when that's done to me. But So being young and ambitious. What was the lifeline on that band? How many years was that?
Let's see, 2006 or 2007 maybe to 2011.
That's a solid run.
Maybe 2006. I can't quite remember. Yeah.
That's a solid run. Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
And you were a founding member.
Founding member, yeah.
Great.
Me and a guy named Jason Kwan.
Okay.
The singer was a founding member too, and the drummer on the recordings, founding member as well.
Does everybody still make music, do you know?
As far as I know, I lost touch with the drummer, Chris.
Okay.
That's one of those regrets, to be honest. I wish I could kind of patch that up, because we kind of had we like patched it up, and then there was there was some miscommunication with another member, kind of like spread some lies.
Sure.
Straight up, and kind of destroyed that. So I haven't talked to him since then. But
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this will be the maybe this will be the springboard.
Yeah, man. If you're listening, Gatza.
Yeah, that's right. Reach out. He's ready. Do we want to play something from We the Undersigned?
Yeah. Why don't we
let
do
people
that?
hear what they sounded like?
Yeah.
Great.
I'll throw on a ballad.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, I'll throw on Burning Bodies in the Distance. There's a music video for this one, which we filmed in Fredericton.
I watched that video just this morning. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's at a sliding hill there.
Yep.
And the day we filmed that was like a few days after an ice storm.
Oh, shit.
The sliding was horrible. Like, it looks fun in the video, but it was terrifying and painful. It was
a
like,
great song.
It was brutal. But yeah, this is Burning Bodies in the Distance.
Like this honey side from your benevolent master's hands. Get back before the harvest for unconsumption. Flesh and blood, grits for the veil. Our flesh is but a cattle to behold. Sacrifice. connecting to us all. The thoughts of sadness like the state of mind, got a vision blinder. Cheers from what truly matters, a matter but the formless. I'm alone, man, and I'm under my own. Dreading starts to rise. While this grand experiment in blood's under suffering of the violence. My gun stands into the abyss while it's just back. When the scaled ones do the ritual fashion of their caskets. I'm not the only fan. I'm not the only fan into resistance. And without the power to lower ability, a thousand wheels high and on the way to split the thunder. The speed of smile that sends the soul and place a paradigm change. It's a rate syndrome, life station, up and falls survival. In this night, sound empowerment, an angel fight, parasites, hate the mind above this world. Hate the mind above this world. Hate the mind above this world.
That was We the Undersign, and you're listening to 107.3 CFMH Campus and Community Radio. You're listening to the Radical Fabulatorium, and tonight in the hot seat we have our very own host, Jay Sadler.
Hello.
Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here.
Jay and I were just chatting while the song was playing, and you were telling me that that album was recorded by James Gauthier in Fredericton.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the type of guy that one would normally pick for such a project.
Yeah, especially in that era, because he had just finished Made Upwards by Grand Theft Bus.
Right.
And he was doing that kind of like Fredericton indie pop rock thing.
How was that your first studio experience?
Yeah, with like an outside producer or engineer. Yeah.
How did you find it?
It was interesting. So I'd have to dig out some memories. But so really what happened is he did drums and then I recorded the guitar and bass
Yeah.
as the engineer. And Andy performed the guitars, I performed the bass. And then James Gauthier recorded the vocals and did all the mixing and mastering.
Okay.
So it was an interesting blend of like giving up control to someone.
Yeah.
But we I don't know, I can't speak for the other guys in the band because like I said, I was a little like heavy-handed maybe in my management
sure.
decisions, but
Yeah.
I trusted his opinion on how things would sound and his ears in terms of noticing how to like the little catchy aspects, because we didn't want to just be pure aggressive metal just to be metal. Like
Yeah.
wanted to like sneak in some songwriting hooks and stuff. So
Sure.
yeah, so it was an interesting experience, but it was good.
Were you there for the mixing? Were you part of the?
No.
You weren't?
No.
Wow. That takes some trust to do that.
I was there for the drum tracking.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I wasn't there for the mixing, and we let the vocals just be him and the singer, just to kind of do that whole intimate vibe thing.
Yep. Great.
And
Good for you.
yeah,
So since that band, you've been, well, prolific is probably the proper word for that, with a steady number of projects. We talked a little earlier off air about the Mary Lied EP in 2013, but there's also the full-length Ethos Pathos Logos in 2015, several other releases right up to the, I'd call it indie pop flavored Midlife Crisis late last year. What drives you to keep creating?
well, my first so I don't know, actually. That's kind of straight. So when We the Undersigned collapsed, and then that Mary Lied EP came out kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
And those were both when I was living in Montreal. And then I came home. So both those projects kind of like Mary Lied hung in there a little bit through like a long distance writing
Okay.
thing, but we never gigged. And then I rolled into my own EPs just because I guess I thought I had to keep creating.
for sanity. Like I always make the joke, that, I do this because I'm no good at baseball, but it's almost partially true. Like,
Yeah.
I found for me, it was, especially when I was younger, it's like, well, my identity is formed by the things that I do, and that's why it would be so important to have like the right band's pin on your coat or that kind of thing. So I know for me, it was, well, if I don't do this, well, who am I? A 30-year-old dude that works at a call center. You know what I mean? Like, it's, so how like was that part of your like just keep creating because this is what I do?
Yeah, it was actually and then so I started writing my own solo music for the first time, and then having to record my own vocals, and I absolutely hated it all. Like I couldn't believe I had to sing or do any of this stuff with my voice. I just despised it. But I don't really know why I did those first two, like Ethos, Pathos, Logos, and then there's two more before that maybe. I can't even remember, but I don't know. I don't really know what I did it, and then I decided to go back to school because my identity too was really confused. Really at the time, I was like supposed to be a musician, but the thought of working with other musicians and starting a band again, like because We the Undersigned had imploded in this, in my opinion, in like a spectacular fashion, and so I was like, I can't.
It felt overwhelming.
I felt overwhelmed. Yeah. And then I discovered Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer in Pro Tools. And I was like, okay, I can at least write songs. And now I have to sing them. But then I actually went back to school because I thought I tried to walk away from it all. Like one day I had all my gear posted on Kijiji.
Yeah, like you were that far into it.
I was that far. And then no one bought it somehow. Like it was like an entire Pro Tools rig.
Right.
For like $300 and my speakers, everything.
You just were like, this has to go now.
Get it out of here. Yep. And no one bought it, which is amazing.
Good.
And then I got a job at the pulp mill, making pretty good money. And then
so this was after Montreal?
This is all after Montreal, yeah.
So you were in Montreal to go to audio and No,
I just moved there with the band. So We the Undersigned moved there to kind of like that was like our next step. Like, okay, we're gonna try a little harder and go to Montreal. And
I didn't realize that either. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry. So you're back. You got a job at the pulp mill.
Yeah. So all that to just say, so I had a good job money wise, and then I just kind of noticed everything was like in the closet, like all my gear was packed away, and I thought I could walk away from it, and then like I couldn't really. Like I'd replaced writing music with drinking alcohol. Actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it got pretty wild. Really, got into a pretty dangerous.
So self-preservation required it. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, for sure.
Which is okay, like having struggles with alcohol and stuff. I'm kind of glad it happened. I mean, I'm sober now, like 3 years next week.
You. Congratulations.
So that's a pretty big deal. But
that's a great deal.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue. So in the liner notes for Midlife Crisis, you speak to some battles with mental health and depression, and I think it's brave anytime somebody will publicly infer that these things happen. The lyrics certainly hint at that as well. Mm-hmm. But the overall tone of that record to me feels triumphant and even optimistic in places. And I picked out a couple lyrics, lines like, I can feel it in my bones and see it in my dreams from Senth, or salvation's in a bottle, I'll swallow it down, these pills help me smile, from it pours. Do you consider yourself an optimist?
I would probably go back and forth.
Yeah.
I do.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, it depends on the day and depends what I'm listening to. Probably like what kind of information I've been putting in my head for the last couple of days.
Okay, that's super fair, actually. Yeah.
But I bounce. I'm in an optimist upswing for sure.
Okay.
I probably spent most of my life as a cynic. But I think that's because I felt like I was letting other things control my life, even though I was like telling myself I was in control, but there were still all these decisions I was letting other people make, or like I was letting the situations make for me.
Okay.
And I just kind of like felt powerless about it. And then I realized not everyone's in a situation where they can like get out of that powerless situation, but I just decided to try, I guess. And yeah.
So triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, good for you.
So I feel like but also like it's nice to be dark in the music because you can, like It Pours specifically, I wrote those lyrics in a really dark moment walking home from a night shift at the pulp mill.
Sure.
And I kind of wait for those moments to pop in, and so I can kind of like squeeze some art out of it.
Sure.
But
walking home from a night shift at the pulp mill sounds like it just lends itself to that.
Yeah, when you're a creative, artistic type.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it was like a 5 minute. It was only like an 8 minute walk. Like I could walk to work, so sometimes it was a pretty long 8 minute walk, and your mind's in a weird spot.
Sure.
But, yeah.
I know for me, for writing, if I'm in a really good place in my life where everything's going really well, I find it hard to write. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to paint the picture of the tortured artist, but, you know, without some kind of adversity or something to, you know, fuel it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I struggle with creating songs specifically. You know, there might be some other art that would lend itself to those type of moods, but are you the same sort of person? Do you need something to fuel the writing, or can you create at any time if given the chance?
So I'm trying to flex that muscle actually of doing it whenever.
Yeah.
But I'm also I try to bank like feelings. So if I need to like, not just like the memory in my mind, but how it made my body feel. So if
Okay.
I need to pull from like a physical sensation,
Okay.
that's just new. That's like within like last year, read a couple books and talked to a couple, I don't know, just people who had different suggestions.
Okay.
And and then I also sometimes think about David Lynch. You probably know that director.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's every once in a while. So I'm not like into his movies much or anything, but my wife will sometimes put on him. She finds his voice entertaining, so she'll put on like little clips of him. And every once in a while, he'll talk about how like he makes this weird dark art, but he's actually quite happy.
He is. Yeah.
And he talks about that better than I could, about how finding that balance between like being happy but also presenting dark art.
Yeah.
So I think you can find that balance but if you never face any adversity, that's where I kind of wonder, like, if you never face any adversity and you have no darkness, like I have memories I can pull from, but if I
Sure.
didn't have those memories, I don't know how I would feel. Like I don't know how I don't know how it would change.
Yeah. It's almost like the concept that people as listeners need something that they can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, generally people relate to the things that they struggle with the most, right? The old misery loves company concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a weird and mysterious thing, isn't it?
It is pretty strange. Yeah.
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 I mean, I love the idea personally of, you know, a workshop mentality where it's like, well, no, you know, I can just write when I need to write. I can sit down with the paper and the pen, and it's laziness to think anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm being completely honest with myself, I do need those times. And I think it's probably true of a lot of creators. So I was curious as to, you know, what your thoughts were on that as well. But
Well, I think it's probably, or at least the creator probably needs like experiences, or those experiences could probably be in your mind too. Like if you're reading a lot of literature, you can take those experiences and turn them into like your own experiences. But I think you need to either be out there doing something, or there's this really cool book called Unlocking Creativity by Michael Beinhorn.
Okay.
He's a producer and I guess an author now, but he talks about going back and forth between like the somatic, like writing from feelings and sensations and the way your body feels, but then also flipping the switch and being like, okay, it's logical. So I need a bridge. Everything feels good. I end on the fifth. Okay, well, that means I can go to the tonic. Okay, let's go to the tonic. Okay, now let's go back into the memory and like feel.
yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? Like I know which notes I'm
Right.
going to hit. And I find that to be like interesting. If you can keep that mentality, then it's interesting.
Do you use theory a lot in your writing?
Only in that sense, really. Like
Okay.
what I just explained. Like if I have a guitar in my hands, I usually try to noodle without paying attention to what I'm doing
Yeah, yeah.
and just kind of wait for my ear to pick up on something.
Is your process like mine's? I'll sit down with my guitar, and eventually some type of vocal melody will come, and I will sing nonsense and then record it, and then try to look for things in that nonsense that kind of tell me what the song's about. Is your process similar?
It usually starts with the music. Sometimes there's a melody there too, but it's usually the chord progression or some little riff, or even a rhythm pattern.
Okay.
Like I struggle with lyrics quite a bit. Like
Okay.
melodies, I can usually find the vocal melody that I enjoy. Sometimes there'll be songs where I just assume I'll never have a vocal melody, and then like 2 years later,
Yeah, yeah.
it just appears. But then the vocal melody is like only a third of the battle, in my opinion, because then finding syllables and phrasing,
100%.
I I find it painful, the writing lyrics. Actually.
Some things just aren't singable.
Yeah.
And you try to force same way.
And the syllable. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe I'm like my own. Of course, I'm my own worst critic, but yeah, I don't know.
One of the things that I'm personally trying to get over that kind of plays into that is, seeing my lyric written on the page versus when I actually sing the lyric with the melody in the song. Because I think music is forgiving in that regard, where you can use, fewer words and maybe incomplete sentences or even incomplete thoughts to convey an emotion. But I struggle with seeing it on the page and going, well, that's just crap.
Yeah.
Is your lyrical struggles a similar sort of thing?
Yeah. Or sometimes it's like, it has to be, sometimes it feels like it's too personal. So it's like,
oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Like no one will relate to it. So like, I struggle with this. Like I want it to be honest. Like I can't just sing. I can't invent a scenario completely. Like it always has to relate back to something I've experienced.
Okay.
So I don't know.
you bring up the concept of something being too personal, and I'm sure that the context you were saying it in was, too personal for you to feel comfortable revealing it. Do you think, and I'll tell you why I bring this up, I had a recent criticism from a show that I played that I share too much.
Okay.
I'm very naked with what I don't care. I'll tell you about my life, And so that was a recent criticism, and I thought, well, that's an interesting thing, especially, I'm a folk singer-songwriter, so, especially for that genre, I thought it was an interesting concept. But it got me thinking about, is that a thing? As a listener, can you be uncomfortable with how much is being shared?
Yeah.
I know you can as a performer. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So actually, I've been in therapy since I quit alcohol.
Okay.
And that's something that's come up, oversharing.
Okay.
As just like a topic of like how some people go about their lives.
Super curious what they say about this.
Yeah. So I kind of like daydream about oversharing to the point where people are like, oh, like everyone's so touched and moved, and everyone's like, oh, we're all just human. Like I love the thought of that kind of like, you know what I mean?
I'm more than anyone else will ever talk to. Yes.
But there's like some people have this concept like a stranger or a new acquaintance or a new person, like you're opening up to them before they've really even proven to you that they deserve to be that close to you in general.
Right.
And now I'm thinking more of like a one-on-one relationship here, but and then also the other person where like you might be thinking like you're sharing this to show the person like, I want to connect with you, or like this is my experience with life. But the other person might be like, whoa, like why are you putting this on me? Like,
sure,
you know what I mean?
as a burden,
right?
Now,
like it's like you feel like you're sharing something, but because it's oversharing, you're actually like putting a burden onto that person. And yeah, it's because you don't really know them that well.
Yeah.
Like and so I did notice I would do that, and not too much, but I just
as a person or as a performer.
So I haven't really ever performed my solo stuff. So
you haven't?
I've never. No.
Okay.
Never. Yeah.
We gotta fix that.
I really can't imagine singing in public, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So but I could probably get there. But that was one of the reasons why I actually, just to kind of go off on a tangent here, like
Please do.
When I told myself I didn't need to worry about playing live, I was able to start writing a lot more music again.
Interesting.
Because I had this, like I thought, I don't want to sing live. I really don't have any interest in singing live.
Okay.
I mean, I probably would do it if I was in like the right group of people in the band or something.
Sure.
But then that's what I would tell myself. I was like, I don't want to start a band, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait a minute. I mean, painters don't paint live. Like a painter just paints their painting and it sits on the wall. So why can't I just write music? And like, just because I don't want to play live doesn't mean I can't record and put out music.
100%.
But that doesn't mean I'm never going to do it. I'm just...
One of the... I relate to that a lot. In November, I put out a ambient music record, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that publicly. But it's something I've been doing privately, just playing with sounds my whole life, really. And I found that to be just the most fulfilling and rewarding thing because I was never going to play it live.
Yeah,
I never had to really even think about it again. I just put it out into the world. So good on you for having that concept.
Yeah, I know the album you're talking about. Actually,
Oh,
I mean,
you're the one.
That's a great album, and it starts off with a song about Sussex.
Thank you. Yes, it does actually. It really does. Yeah. Well,
At least in the title. At least.
No, that's great. It really does actually. So speaking of Sussex, for those that don't know, so you were born and raised in Sussex, but you've been living in St. John for the past couple of years. What brought you to St. John? Was it time for a change? Limitations in a small town? What brought you to St. John?
Yeah, well, so I moved back to Sussex after Montreal. So like Montreal, life imploded. Moved home with my folks.
Yeah.
God bless my parents. Super supportive, amazing parents.
You need them. Yeah.
Jack and Linda, if you're listening.
Great.
Whew. Crazy.
You raised a good boy.
Well, so many safety nets. It's really not even fair, I guess.
Yeah.
But much appreciated. Yeah. So then I came to St. John for school.
Okay.
I went to MBCC.
Yep.
And then I was planning on working in Sussex at the mine, but the mine closed while I was in school.
Okay.
Which was a good thing, I suppose. I mean, not, you know what I mean? Like, good for me, because had I just been employed there for a year, it would have been, and then you lose your job.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Obviously not, actually, in some weird sense, probably good for Sussex, because it forced the community to shift, and it has changed, and it's a really, really interesting town now. Anyway, ended up getting a job at the pulp mill, so stayed in St. John.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
What was the music scene like in Sussex growing up?
So when I was we want to go all the way back to high school, when I first started playing, me and my buddy, we kind of started the music, like we'd heard of shows. Like I remember stumbling into this show with my buddy Justin, and it was a punk show.
Yeah.
And it was like the Scapegoats.
Oh, wow.
Abolish It, EI, Not Yet Dead, maybe. Like 4 of these old school hardcore bands. And like we were in grade 9 or 10, and it just blew our minds in multiple ways. One was the fact that there was this happening at all. Like 50 people in this hall. Yeah. The other thing is, like, in their sound checks, we were just starting to play guitar, by the way.
Sure.
We could hear them riffing like Metallica riffs, Master of Puppets and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, this is going to be sweet. And then we go in, and then like it's Abolish It. I don't know if you're like...
I'm not familiar, no.
It's like, Hard Charger?
Yep.
So it's like their early band when they were like teenagers.
Okay.
So
right.
Really aggressive, crusty punk.
Sure.
And then they start playing their songs, and we're like, what is this garbage? Like, weren't they just playing sick Metallica riffs? Like, I can't even tell what this is.
Yeah.
And, but of course, in that weird way, that like, couldn't get that out of our mind. So then we started playing guitar, formed a band. Me and my buddy Chris Erb started booking shows at Jubilee Hall in Sussex.
I knew you were involved with promoting. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing.
And then that kind of like fueled it from there.
Wow.
But yeah, that's like 17. Just, I don't really know why we started booking shows, but it just felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah. Interesting. So while I was browsing through your Bandcamp over the past week, and I've listened to a lot of your music this week.
I'm going to see my analytics go.
That's right. Yeah. It's all me, buddy. I realized that there's been a notable shift in your sound over the years, and it's far more eclectic than, and don't be insulted by this, but than I would have expected. You're a music lover, and that's clear.
Yeah.
Is Midlife Crisis indicative of where your music's heading stylistically? Is that a sound you want to pursue more?
Yeah, that album, I think of it as kind of divided in two, like the first 4 tracks, and then the second 4 tracks, like the A side, B side.
Okay.
And which is how the songs were written. The first 4 I wrote earlier.
Yeah.
And the second half I wrote later. And I feel like that's the direction I'd like to go in, like those last 4 songs.
The last 4.
Yeah, just the mood and the strangeness of them.
Okay.
I think that's where the next batch of songs is. Like, I think it's more that tone, not so much the like indie rock or pop punk vibe.
Yeah.
But I don't really know yet, because for these new songs, I've kind of purposefully left like half of them bare, like just chord progression and vocals, because I just want to see if other people could
how they hear them
twist on it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So Midlife Crisis was produced by Don LeBandier.
Yeah, we co-produced it.
Yeah, that's co-produced, right? Of course, yeah. So, our listeners might be familiar with him as the front man of Motor League.
Yeah.
And I certainly am as well, but also I'm familiar with Don because he's very involved with the ECMAs. He holds a lot of lectures and the whole bit. And I certainly think of Don as a fan and promoter of East Coast music.
Yeah.
How did you and Don hook up? How did that collaboration come to be?
Yeah, so I met him way back in the high school days when we first started booking shows.
Yep.
He was in a band called the Ditch Pigs,
Yes.
and we were on the message board Moncton Locals a lot.
Okay.
So we would hang out there, and Giraffe Cycle too.
Yeah.
So the Ditch Pigs would come and play our shows in Sussex pretty regularly.
Okay.
And I just looked up to Don back then as like a local, like I was just learning about local music and stuff. And I just liked their music in general. And then he would also spend the time just to talk to me as like a younger kid.
Yeah.
And then he would talk to me even over like MSN Messenger. We might even met on ICQ really. It might be all the way back. It might have been way back then.
Classic.
So yeah, that goes way back. That's like 20 years ago. And then with this one, when I was slowly getting, it was great. Okay, I dug out an old demo for a song before I went back to school, before I had like put everything in the closet and became an alcoholic.
Right.
And I always liked the riff, even though I knew it wasn't really a finished song, but I just always liked the vibe of it. But I was just like, hey, Don, do you want to, would you just lay down guest like vocals on this? Because I knew he was getting into recording.
Yep.
And he's like, man, why don't you just come up to Moncton here and we'll redo the whole song and then like I'll just get you to sing it. Anyway, that just started everything.
Wow.
And then he was just getting into kind of producing big, like full projects. So I was almost like a guinea pig a little bit because we wrote a grant together for MID.
Okay.
And even if the grant wasn't going to go through, it was going to be kind of like a quid pro quo
Right.
setup. But we did get the grant. And then, we worked on it here and there over like a year.
Amazing.
It was awesome. Yeah. The amount of stuff I learned from him is like off the charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Even when we didn't agree on things, it's like just, it was really, really, really good.
When you can disagree on things, that's where true collaboration comes from. That's amazing.
Yeah. Meeting 50-50 is almost always, even if you can't even if the people in the moment can't like agree to it, but you just like, if you have to step back and just let it chill and then like meeting 50-50 is almost always the best.
Great. Is there a particular track you can point to that we can play that, maybe you can think of that had a little more 50-50 collaboration happening?
Well, that first one, the one with the weird senti, it's actually pronounced senti because I just picked some random stupid word. It's an inside joke and it's like the dumbest song title you could possibly imagine. So that song, I don't know if people would be that surprised to find out I co-produced that song with Dawn. Like it's kind of got like that like punk. Why don't we give it a spin and I'll listen for that and see if listen for it with that ear. Yeah. But this was one of the first songs I developed and came around, and then like he just helped. He guided me through some demo vocals, and just kind of like built up my confidence a little bit. And with the song, because I approached him with these demos with the vocal melodies were actually on guitar because I was just so uncomfortable and I was so rusty and I was just like, here's the vocal melodies, but they were just me playing lead guitar riffs.
Yeah. So
this song was one of the first ones where there was a little bit of confidence already there. So he helped me take it to the next level.
Fantastic.
And I guess I'll hit play on that one.
All right, great.
So it's called Senti.
We'll leave today across the sea.
That was Senti off of Midlife Crisis. Great song. So that one was co-produced with Don Levandier.
Yeah, and co-written, really.
Oh, he co-wrote it too. Okay.
I think I have my mic muted. Yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah.
So while the song was talking, while the song was playing, we were talking a bit about different instruments.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting that you said I'm a bass player, really.
Yeah.
I play drums, as you know, but I play guitar and I play other instruments. And whenever I get into situations, where I feel like I'm overwhelmed or I'm out of my league and theory talks and these kind of things, I'll just say, well, I'm a drummer. Do you do that for yourself? Because the question I gave you was first talking about singing, and then it ended with, I'm a bass player, really. Do you find that you do that?
Yeah, I do use that as a safety net.
You do, eh?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So would that be the instrument that you would say, like, if I have to pin myself down to one instrument and musician's not a title I can give myself, would you say I'm a bass player?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
That's an interesting
Yeah, I
thing.
would.
What else do you play? You play guitar, you play drums.
I can play keyboard in the sense that I can play it enough to like record, in a studio, lay down chords and stuff.
You played, I know that a guest played piano on one of your records too, but you played piano on your records as well, right?
Yeah, there's some keys. Yeah, the simple key parts are me.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, sometimes I'll lay it down on the keyboard, but then once it's in Pro Tools, I'll shift some stuff in MIDI land, but I know enough to and I took some piano lessons and drum lessons and stuff, so I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing, but yeah.
So it's interesting to hear you answer those, because I would give the same sort of answers if asked the same question. I do a thing you may have checked out before called January through December, and I'll write, record, and release my own songs. So generally, I'll play most of the things on those, or I'll have a friend come on, but generally it's me, and so there'll be multiple instruments, and that's because I'm in my little spare bedroom at my house where I can take all the time I need to figure out the 4 notes that sound right, or or whatever the case may be. But I would be just horrified if somebody said, "Oh, that guy's a good piano player." I'd be horrified because sure, with 6 months to figure it out or something. Do you find you struggle with giving yourself label of pianist or guitarist or those sort of things for the same reasons?
Yeah, I would never. Yeah, I would struggle to call myself a guitarist ever. I would say I can play guitar.
Yep.
I have been trying to just say I'm a songwriter. I've been just trying to say that to people. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a songwriter, and I work at local FM part time, and I work at Cannabis MB part time.
Yeah.
I try to lead with that. And again, I we were talking a little bit. I hadn't played live, and I kind of felt like I battle imposter syndrome a lot.
For that reason?
For that one of those reasons, yeah.
Okay.
And, but yeah, it's kind of I don't know if we were on the air when I said this, but artists don't paint live, so they paint their painting, it's on the wall, so why can't a songwriter do that? So yeah, I just try to lead as saying I'm a songwriter just to plant that seed.
Great. Yeah, I think it's inspiring. I think it's great. I don't think it's necessary that you do play live. Do you ever feel like you want to just to say, yeah, I could do it if I wanted to?
Yeah, probably. But it would have to be with the right. It would have to be kind of frictionless. It would have to be putting together a set or something. It couldn't feel like a job. We the Undersigned sets were so tedious. Our rehearsal sessions were so tedious, and that was partly on me by my kind of organizational structure, but. So as I'm saying this, I'm realizing maybe I've never played in a band where the main point of it was to have fun. I'm thinking out loud right now. Okay, great. This may have just made me realize that I've never been in a band just for the fun of it.
So We the Undersigned, or early on, I won't say always, but early on, you had an agenda, you had a plan.
Yeah.
And so with that came pressures.
Yeah, really, a lot of play. And it didn't seem like pressure at first. So, I went to audio engineering school almost completely for the band.
Yep.
And then I started working while I was in school. I started being a lab assistant on purpose so I could have access to the recording studio.
Yep.
And then we would rehearse and record demos from midnight to 5 in the morning.
Wow.
On the weekend.
That's a classic story, but I'm always impressed when I hear it. Yeah, wow.
That's how I met Andy, actually. He came up to one of those sessions.
Okay.
And yeah, so that was right out of the gates. Like, actually, we formed the band. So me and Jason, the founder, we saw Protest the Hero
Yep.
play actually right below us in the cafeteria. And then a couple other places. And I can just remember being like, with him being like, I think it might have been him who said, wouldn't it be cool if we got to play shows with these guys? And I remember thinking like, yep, we're going to
That's
play
gonna
shows with
happen.
these guys.
Ah,
We didn't
good
even
for
have a
you,
band.
though.
We hadn't even jammed together yet.
Good for you.
And then the first show we ever booked was with them.
So you've got ambition is not a problem for you.
Yeah, well, it wasn't back then. I don't know where I am now, but that's, you know,
I don't know. I've had enough conversations with you to say I think that's still probably not a problem for you.
well,
So what is next for you artistically? I mean, I know that you have this show, which congratulations. I think it's great. I try to listen to every episode.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
But artistically, what's next for you? What do you intend to do with your music?
with my, so I'm working on some new tunes. There's a I'm weird. The more I talk about it, I feel like the more pressure I put myself.
Oh,
put on myself,
don't let me force that on you.
But really, there's a producer I'd like to work with, and really one of the main reasons I would like to work with this producer is that, I'm in one of those optimistic upswings. So I was trying to think like how could I use my music or whatever I am doing to build up the scene in general or promote other people in general. And so I've been trying to. There's this producer out in BC I want to work with, and then part of it's kind of like just a way to get some people looking out here. I mean, if I'm being honest, because New Brunswick has so much talent, and there's also a good grant system here that helps with the foundations of songwriting and demos and stuff.
Yep.
And from what I've learned, or I've been out of the game for a while, but when we would tour the country, like other people in other provinces were like, "What? They give you money like?" Just the way they get, like the way MID gives money
to do this. Yeah, right.
And it was different back then. I know the system's changed a little bit, but and just with the way that you can interact with anyone now with the internet, you can do remote productions and stuff. Yep. I just feel like I would like to, whatever I end up doing, I would like to also use it to build up the location in general.
Okay. That's not good for you. Do you think you would ever, because it's what you enjoy, from what I can gather talking to you, do you think you would ever produce for someone else?
Yeah. I've wrestled with that idea a few times. It would have to be the right relationship, because
The right person. Yeah.
I understand gear, and I went to audio engineering school, and I'm obviously not a super expert. I don't have any credits to my name, so to speak, or whatever, but I understand gear and how it all works and stuff, but I'm not super interested in it. Like, I'd rather it just kind of be like what you get in the moment is what you got. And it's more about the feeling than it is about the pressure of.
In the performance, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just, like, if to just produce something to produce it, I don't think would interest me. But I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I wouldn't solicit myself as a producer to just try to produce stuff put out as many productions as I can to get credit so people know I'm a producer, and
right.
you know what I mean? I wouldn't do that, but it would be fun to go through that experience.
I asked the question because, it's clear that you love treating music like toys, arranging instruments and stuff. I think I get the impression you love that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you do. But that it comes with pressures because it's your music. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting if you could do that for someone else where the pressure wasn't there?
Yeah. It'd probably be a different kind of pressure.
Sure.
I do, like what you said is right. I really enjoy spreadsheets too. So that probably helps.
All right.
Explain
I hate
things.
spreadsheets.
I love spreadsheets.
Fair. Okay.
Grade 9, I got 103 in math class.
Okay, good for you.
Just saying, I'm not, no
That's
big deal.
amazing.
No big deal. What were we talking about? The pressure though would be like, I don't know if I'm always worried my taste wouldn't align with the pressure would be to let the artist down. It's always their project, so you do need to serve their vision. So that's really where the beginning of the relationship would be most important. And as long as things were set out in the beginning,
sure,
and that relationship was established, it would be like the best case scenario I could imagine would be like, I mean, that would be a really fun scenario. But the pressure of like letting other people down, I don't know. Be interesting.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to hear more of your music, where can they go? Where can they do that?
I have a .com, johnadamian.com.
johnadamian.com.
John Adamian, yeah. JOHN ADAMIAN.
And your Bandcamp has all kinds of releases on there.
Yeah, it's got pretty much everything.
And that's under John Adamian as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
johnadamian.bandcamp.com.
You can get there from your website anyway.
Yeah, the .com just goes to a link tree, so it's just got a list of everything, including like the link to the show here for interviews and stuff.
Awesome. It's been a sincere pleasure to do this, and it was a crazy idea, and I'm glad you were on board for it.
Oh, that was fun.
And I think it was really great. So, good luck to you on your music. I hope to hear more of it. I hope to be involved in some of it in
Yeah,
the future.
thanks.
And why don't we spin something else?
Sure.
Whatever you'd like to spin it off of. But,
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll
Yeah,
play
and-
something to play it out.
I'll play, and I'll say anytime you want to come back too, just let me know. This is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I'll do
Yeah, let's see. I'll play Comatose since I'm a bass player.
that. All right.
So the bridge in the song Comatose is my favorite part on the entire record.
All right.
And it involves a 5-finger bass tapping riff. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm pretty proud of that.
All right. All right.
That's where you'll hear that's the only part that We the Undersigned will sneak through on this record.
Okay.
But it's kind of a dark song, but here we go. Comatose, Midlife Crisis. I guess I should say thanks for listening because it's the end of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll see you next week. You can check us out at localfm.ca, 107.3 FM. You can check out me at johnadamian.com. And now I'll thank Clinton for coming and guest hosting. Thanks,
My
Clinton.
pleasure, my brother. Thank
All
you.
right,
This was
here we
fun.
go. Have a good night, everyone.
Not asleep, but not alive.